Hi, I'm Mike Agostini, and I'm talking to you again about drugs in sport. The Mitchell report on the use of so-called performance-enhancing drugs in baseball has come out. Is there any surprise in it? Not a single thing. Even the dumbest guy in baseball would have known that drugs are endemic, but they're not used by everyone. Do they help? Sure they do. Can they be harmful? Certainly they can be, but mostly they're not. However, that entire report can best be described as a costly, farcical document. What does he say? He says he recommends no action be taken against those who use the drugs prior to this report. So suddenly the curtain's going to come down on things, and from henceforth, if you get caught taking drugs, you're going to be in the poo. What a lot of nonsense. There's only one solution to the problem of drugs in sport. The solution is simply to legalize them. Am I in favor of drugs? No, I'm not. But I'm realistic enough to know that you can't stop them. If we can't stop them in the streets, how can we stop them in sport where the rewards are so great? As for testing, I don't see why we should spend the amount of money that's being spent on testing that only benefits the people doing the testing and people like the head of WADA, Dick Pound, a wonderful man, but I want to know how much he's been paid to start WADA and keep it running. And now we have John Fay from Australia, the country I live in, and he's going to be the head of WADA. It's a job for the boys. Professor Julian Savulescu, he's a professor of ethics at Oxford University, has said, you want to solve the problem? Legalize the drugs. Now, that is the only way it's going to be changed, and good work on the part of Senator George Mitchell, a wonderful man, a couple of years older than I am, a lawyer, a legislator. But he says, do nothing about the people who are named in this report. And what does Bud Selig, the baseball commissioner, say? I'll have a look into that. This reminds me so much of money, but you have to be old enough and been around long enough. Because 50 years ago when I was competing, and up until 20 years ago, if you even hinted that you wanted money, you'd be rubbed out, you'd be ostracized, you'd be castigated. I know it because I was. But the point is, anybody who knew anything about sport was making money out of so-called amateur sport. And it hasn't changed. And with the drugs, there is no one who doesn't know it. And the problem is, when we leave it to the media to make hay out of this, because that's what sells, shock, horror. First of all, we build up the Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens into great sports heroes, these two baseballers. And then when we tear them down, that's the shock, horror, an even bigger story. Oh, come on, let's stop the nonsense. Let's get on with the sport, and let's make it simple. Drugs are not mandatory. Nobody has to take them. People choose to take them. Those who choose to take them must seek the advice of a well-trained, qualified, experienced medical practitioner who will prescribe the appropriate amount for them and then test them. And if they test for having in excess of the amount prescribed, they get punished by being banned for a while or eventually permanently. It seems to me that's the simple way, but then I'm just a simple storyteller. We'll talk more about this, but we'll also talk about what is my favorite subject, which you'll see on my website, www.afterlifenews.com. Is there any difference between the afterlife and this one? I don't know. I don't think it could be any worse in the afterlife, and I think it's probably a lot better, and there certainly won't be any drugs because we're spirits, not bodies. Have fun, because that's what life's about.